Bros, it's time once again for another chapter in everyone's favorite series, The Great British Bake Off. I mean, does this card slap? This is where the brothers in my Discord posit cards that they think slap, and I tell you whether they do or not, and I'm going to tell you why. Maybe throw in a use case scenario and the cost of the card for a little giggle in here too. We've got some underrated slappers here. We've got some hidden gems that you can bust out at Commander Night and get the nod from across the table, like that nodding woodsman meme. You get that street cred, you get that hipster cred, you're the guy who plays a card that nobody ever heard of. And most of these, with one exception here, are very budget for the budget bros out there. Now let's get into it, but first, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. There it is right there. That's the nautical subscribe, brother. As always, thanks to the patrons and the members for keeping me independent. You guys are the best. Alright, we have Beth Wellington coming in with Phyrexian Plague Lord. This guy's 3 black creature Phyrexian Carrier. It's a 4/4. As tap, sacrifice it, target creature gets -4/-4 until end of turn, or just sacrifice a creature, target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. This is a 5 mana card, which is kind of the worst thing I can say about it. Other than that, it's all gas, man. 50 cents for the gorgeous Urza's Legacy version if you like old magic. This is a free sack outlet. So in these types of decks, you're making lots of little tokens, which can be sacrificed at instant speed to take down an indestructible threat. Or something attacking you, or some pivotal commander, whatever, man. This is 5 mana, usually paying off that sacrifice with something. It's a sack outlet that has some pretty convincing removal too. Plus, he's got that peak male physique, dude. Look at those Elon Musk arms out there. You really need to never do any physical activity to get such an alpha body and some real skincare. Phyrexian skincare. That's what people say about me is, oh, here comes the Plague Lord. Well, here comes General Marhalt's El's Dragon. Dreestrada 02 is bringing this thing out there. So this is 2 red and a green for a legendary creature, Elf Warrior. It's a 4/4. Whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, it gets +3/+3 until end of turn for each creature blocking it. The General. Never mess with the General, dude. It's generally pretty unwise. I like this guy's drip. He's got that lamellar armor. He's got that receding hairline, which we all know is a mark of dominance. Alright, mechanically, this is your force combat, force blocking, death touch commander that can be built super cheap because he's only 13 cents. You have these creatures that say must be blocked if able. Cards like Taunting Elf. All creatures able to block this guy do so. So say your opponent has 3 creatures, you got that Taunting Elf out there, all of a sudden this guy's a damn 9/10 and taking it to creatures left and right, man. Maybe he dies, but nobody liked him anyways. You know, he taunted everybody all the time. Like a damn fool. Very cool card, very gruel, very cheap commander. I like it a lot. I do remember seeing it, but this set was very stacked. And Welcome Orange is coming in hot with Tempt with Mayhem. 20 cents, 1 red for an instant. Tempting offer. Choose target instant or sorcery spell. Each opponent may copy that spell and may choose new targets for the copy they control. You copy that spell once, plus an additional time for each opponent who copied the spell this way. You may choose new targets for the copies you control. So the nice thing about this card is the crazy ubiquitous ramp spells out there, card draw spells that make their way into so many commander decks. Cultivate is in 48% of decks that can run it. Brainstorm, Opt, all that stuff. It's a very solid commander card. Even if no one gets tempted, it's a copy instant spell, or sorcery. It's a little more narrow, but great if you're paying off Magecraft somehow. Here comes Revmix Sizzle with Intruder Alarm, 2 and a blue for an enchantment. Creatures don't untap during their controller's untap steps, but whenever a creature enters, untap all creatures. Okay, we all know that this is a super combo enabler. If you have cards that tap to create a creature like Bloodline Keeper, or in decks that do stuff like the Master Transcendent, this card is absolutely nuts. It's symmetrical, so know that, alright? But I wanted to mention this card because it was very pricey. It's up around like $10-15, I believe, I don't know. But this Eldraine Enchanting Tales version is like $1.50. Come on, dude. I got it on principle, and it's a decent little commander pickup for your spicy decks. Welcome Orange wants to talk about Mandate of Peace. So this is 1 and a white for an instant. Cast a spell only during combat. Your opponents can't cast spells this turn. End the combat phase. Sheesh, man, I'd never seen this card before. These guys look like they're having a little Red Riding Hood cosplay fight. And the event organizer's like, no, dudes, no fighting. Let the judges figure out who has the best costume here, alright? cosplay is all thirst trapping anyways, dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, once in a while some nut builds a mech or something, but mostly it's 2B and Diva thirst traps, alright? Anyways, that's my cosplay rant, it's over. This is a great card. Opponent moves to combat, it's gonna swing out, gonna get a bunch of triggers. No way, dude. You go to your second main phase. Then you get up, you're the hero, you take a lap around the table and you get some celebratory Mountain Dew. You just saved a cosplayer's life. Now Arcane9, in the same vein, wants to talk about Calamity's Wake. This is 9 cents, 1 and a white for an instant. Exile all graveyards. Players can't cast non-creature spells this turn. Exile it. Not bad, man. Graveyard hate. Spellslinger decks hate this card. And you have a cool picture of Chris Christopherson staring into the distance. What a cool guy, man. Look at that fella. Zabkeel points out that Shalai Voice of Plenty is $1.30. So this card is 3 and a white, legendary creature, angel, it's a 3/4, has flying. You, planeswalkers you control, and other creatures you control have hexproof, has 4 green, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. This is a very good card. Very, very good, dude. In a counters deck, that second ability is gravy, but that first static ability is absolutely nuts. You'd be shocked how many effects target you as the player, and now they can't. This is another one. Yeah, of course it slaps, dude, but at that price, it slaps so hard I almost schwitzed all over the floor. I gotta put a towel down, brother. Here comes Average Soup Man, arch enemy of Powdered Toast Man. We got Nissa of the Shadowed Bows. So this card is like a buck and change depending on the version. 2 black and a green, legendary planeswalker, starting loyalty is 4, has landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, put a loyalty counter on this card. +1, untap target land you control. You may have it become a 3/3 elemental creature with haste and menace until end of turn. It's still a land. Now that's ramp, brother. -5, you may put a creature card with mana value less than or equal to the number of lands you control onto the battlefield from your hand or graveyard with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. Nissa, she's flirting with that black mana, dude. Post breakup, listening to Taylor Swift in the shadowy forest. This has great abilities, that landfall ability, its ramp, its reanimation, 2 of my favorite things. You'll get to that -5 quick. Though you probably aren't cheating things out early unless you're in a dedicated landfall reanimator, and I don't really even know what that is, dude. I do know that this is steady value until a decent reanimation effect. Card slaps, man. Dark Forest slap in the twilight. Frag Camper, this got to be a first-person shooter thing, or maybe he's an outdoorsman, I don't know. Primeval Herald, 27 cents, 3 and a green, creature, elf, scout. It's 3/1 with trample. Whenever this guy enters or attacks, you may search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Yeah, man, this card is awesome. It was way pricier too, but got a reprint in the newest Jumpstart. Very nice card. You're probably getting 2 lands off of this. Also great in blink decks. There are more efficient options, but without that attack trigger. Oh man, this is one of my favorite cards. Sizzle's coming in with the Phyrexian Negator. So this is 2 and a black, creature Phyrexian Horror. It's a 5/5 with trample. Whenever this guy is dealt damage, sacrifice that many permanents. This is a $4 reserve list card. This in my mind is one of those iconic cards I think of when I think of old Magic. The coolest thing about this guy is figuring out ways to donate it to your opponents. Fractured Identity, John Irenicus, Blim Comedic Genius. Yes, this card is one of those that you should have in your collection because it looks like a classic alien. And that's Sigourney Weaver, dude, and that's a sexy space lady, and that's Better Commander, brother. Now, Locks by a very elven username is coming in with Cinder Vines, red and green for an enchantment. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, this deals 1 damage to that player. Has 1, sacrifice Cinder Vines, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Cinder Vines deals 2 damage to that permanent's controller. Sweet little value engine, draining with little blips of damage. Not a game-winning card on its own, but it's great in decks that stack little instances of damage, like Yurlock. It's a great example. Rurik Thar, that 2-headed idiot. It's a great little workhorse, man. Great play early on too, great removal. Frag Camper's coming back with Void at 13 cents. 3 black and a red sorcery. Choose a number. Destroy all artifacts and creatures with mana value equal to that number. Then target player reveals their hand and discards all non-land cards with mana value equal to that number. So this is an interesting card. It's kind of budget removal, I guess. This does not target. So those Boots and Greaves aren't going to help those commanders that are 4 mana that you're going to hit with this card. Great in a deck that won't have a ton of permanents on the board, kind of a Grixis Spellslinger maybe. It's also great token hate. You can choose 0. Artifact lands and most tokens have mana value 0. 5 mana. It's a lot, man. But there are decks that cheat out broken sorceries. pretty castable too. Coolest thing about this card is Urza, a wizard of limitless power, wandering around in a damn mech, dude. Now this card is the one non-budget card I was talking about. Zabkiel wants to point out Chimil the Inner Sun slaps. 6 generic mana, legendary artifact, spells you control can't be countered. At the beginning of your end step, discover 5. This card's nuts, man. Free spell every turn, can benefit from artifact cost reducers. I love this card, it's too pricey, man. Looks like some Aztecs are about to play the game where they kick around severed heads. I guess. I mean, I'm no anthropologist, brother, but I do know this card is way too pricey. So there is a cards that slap list on Moxfield, although I don't administer it. It has been noted that there were no planeswalkers and no battles. I'll let that speak for itself. But this video is making history, brother. Probably the most historic thing we're going to see this year. Invasion of Segovia. Revnik Sizzle wants to point out this card, 2 and a blue for a battle siege. So when it enters, create 2 1/1 blue Kraken creature tokens with trample. And when this is defeated, has defense of 4, it transforms into Cadis, the Sea Tyrant of Segovia. So this is a blue legendary creature serpent. Non-creature spells you cast have Convoke. At the beginning of your end step, untap up to 4 creatures. It's kind of hard to evaluate these battles. I mean, you have to attack it, so maybe wait a turn, maybe not. Depends on, your creatures, your evasion. The front makes 2 little dudes, which can be great to Convoke. This is a very specific card that wants bigger spells, untappers, but also has big attackers to blow it up. I would pay 3 mana for the back, that big old serpent, so if you have a way to just immediately turn it over, this is not a bad value at all. I reluctantly, and with an abundance of caution, I'm going to put an oven mitt on for this one. I'm going to slap this card very gently. Alright fellas, I gotta run. I got a tip on a rare bird out there. Gotta get my Cadillac, drive down to the alley behind the Piggly Wiggly and meet a guy. But you guys stay cool out there. I've been out all week because of the flu, man, some virus. Go get your vaccines. Don't listen to Kijong Masters and Mel Gibson. Those guys don't have medical degrees, alright? Just get your flu shot. People barely understand how to wipe their butts and they're telling me not to get a vaccine, Come on, stay in your lane, brother. Nikki G, signing off.